Now, the Celtics, again, game two's adjustments. You took game one. Boston go on the road. Spurs can go on the road and win some games. But can I just say this for the Boston Celtics last night? Joe Mazzulla's team, I know they live and die by the three ball. Right? They shoot more threes than anybody. How many three-pointers they shot last night, Jack? The Celtics shot 50 three-pointers.
Yeah, they are the epitome of 3-and-D.
They took 89 shots last night. 50 of them were three-pointers. You know how many of those three-pointers the Celtics made?
13.
13 for 50. I mean, come on. Oh, man. If they go in, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, sometimes the ball goes in, sometimes it doesn't, but 50 three-pointers. That is close to a record. That's the most three-point shots in a playoff game since the Minnesota Timberwolves shot 51 threes in 83 field goal attempts back, a while back now. But that's a lot. But Philadelphia got a nice win, so I'm sure they're a little bit happy. Well, they're not happy in Philadelphia. They're never happy in Philadelphia. But their team won a game, 111-97. So they're now even. Portland beat the Spurs. Now, 106-103. And even without Wemby went out pretty early with the concussion. Went down, hit his chin on the floor. Looked like he knocked himself out for a bit. And concerned. But the Spurs were still up 14 in the fourth quarter. And you know what that game reeked to me last night, Jack, was, and you can correct me, but Drew Holiday of the Trailblazers, who's been in a lot of playoff games, the Spurs have not.
Yeah.
Between he and the young guy, Scoot Henderson, their backcourt dominated the Spurs backcourt and when it mattered, and they played great defense. But Drew Holiday made so many big plays down the stretch. He only scored like 7 or 8 points, but rebounds, steals, assists. He was great last night. And Drew Holiday is just one of those ultimate glue guys. He was on the Celtics championship team. He's really a good player, right? He's been in a lot of those situations, and that's what the playoffs become about, and that's been the question on the Spurs closing. And they couldn't close last night, even at home.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I thought. I mean, credit to the Spurs with the Trailblazers with Scoot Henderson, Tumani Kamara, Drew Holiday in that, just tremendous plays down the stretch. Denny Avdia as well. But for San Antonio, I kind of thought, I'm like, when that ball swings to De'Aaron Fox or Stephon Castle and they need to make a wide open three, do I trust them to make it? Right now, I don't. I just don't. And Stephon Castle, I know he's a player a lot of people really love. I think that without Victor Wembanyama on the floor, he really struggles offensively. He's still a good defender, but he led them with 18 points, but it took him 20 shots to get there. He was 7 for 20. He was 4 of 13 in game one. They just need more from the backcourt. Dylan Harper's really good. Dylan Harper's a really good player. But without Victor Wembanyama, they're going to have a hard time. Just the gravity that he brings, the amount of attention that you have to pay attention to him on the offensive floor, it just opens things up for guys. Everybody else, especially for slashers like De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle, and he was sorely missed out there tonight. Spurs will be fine, but that was they lost that game. Lost it at home.
All right, so like that a lot. Or Spurs fans, let's hear a little bit from Mitch Johnson. Then we're going to dive into our other opening tip conversation, the NFL Draft, which is now just one day away. But let's hear from Mitch Johnson. He is the coach of the Spurs, and here he is afterwards. Everybody's concerned about Wemby, and why not?
No. Did he have to go to the hospital, or was he x-rayed here?
I don't believe any of that. I just know he has a concussion and he's in the protocol, and we'll obviously take the proper and appropriate steps.
How's Harrison?
I think he's okay.
All right, so no hospital. He just had a concussion, and we've learned through football, and when the protocol is, he won't be able to be cleared to come back until he has, all the symptoms. He's got to pass the 3 stages, and who knows how long that'll be. As we've learned with concussions, they don't know enough, but each person's different. Sometimes they get through those and they get through the stages faster than others. Sometimes it can linger, so we'll keep an eye on that. That obviously will be impactful on this series. Here also from Mitch Johnson on the is he being evaluated for anything else? Because they're broken jaw potentially. He smashed the ground pretty hard with his jaw.
Get the chair pulled
face first. He went down.
Mitch, Victor's in concussion protocol, but is he being examined for anything beyond that?
No.
Did he have to go to the hospital, or was he x-rayed here? Or?
I don't believe any of that. I just know he has a concussion and he's in the protocol, and we'll obviously take the proper and appropriate steps.
How's Harrison?
All right, so there you go. And also, Harrison Barnes went down a little bit last night. So that's always concerning, Jack. You get into a playoff series, you're the heavy favorite, and a couple key guys go down, and all of a sudden it becomes a series now. It becomes a little bit tighter. And then, I had the lack of NBA watching I do, especially for West Coast teams. Drew Holiday, I love watching that guy play. He's a big part. And Scoot Henderson is one of the most talented young players in the league, high draft pick.
Yeah, he's kind of had a weird career. Injury-plagued first season, then didn't really put it together a season. He was the third pick in the same draft as Victor Wembanyama. It was him, Brandon Miller, then Scoot Henderson, then Amen Thompson. But I saw you watch him out there and you put him amongst his peers with De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, all these, either De'Aaron veteran guard and then a couple of young guards. You could tell Scoot takes that personally. Nobody was really talking about him coming into the series. He's like, all right, I can score with these guys. These guys can't defend me. I'm faster than these guys. And he has had a really good series so far. Of course, a career game. You're going to have a breakout game in game 2. But I think the Spurs will be fine. But this is not a Blazers team that I would count out, and Tiago Splitter has done a great job as the head coach, or the interim head coach.
Tiago Splitter. Yeah. Now, remember, this is a Portland team that came in, and their coach early in the season gets caught up in an FBI investigation, charged and fired.
2 games in.
2 games into the season, he's a part of that FBI gambling ring, setting up rigged poker games. At least the allegation against Chauncey Billups. Tiago Splitter takes over. And do you even want to address the Rockets? I mean, again, I didn't watch much, but they look very lethargic. They don't look like they care. Kevin Durant was back and turned the ball over 9 times last night. LeBron James is unbelievable. As much as a lot of you might hate him, the guy is still playing at an elite level at 28. He's taken back the lead. Remember, he gave up the lead to Luka Doncic this year and it became a subservient role. With Luka and Austin Reeves out, he has taken back the lead, and in a short series, in a long series, but in a series, he can take over a game, and he did again last night.
That's right. I mean, just a complete organizational failure from top to bottom for Houston. If you can't even be competitive against this version of the Lakers, give me a playoff team in any given season that you're going to beat. I mean,
yes.
I don't have a good word to say about anybody on the team. Some of the guys I can, feel for a little bit more, like you're not being put in a great position to succeed. But the Lakers have the 2 smartest people in this series. That's J.J. Redick and LeBron James. Kevin Durant is in year 19. He does not know how to solve a double team. Ime Udoka has no interest in helping his team solve anything. It's just here.
9 turnovers will tell you that.
I don't know what happened to Alperen Şengün. He was one of the most promising young big men in the league. And then in the last 2 seasons, his touch around the basket has just completely left him. He's not a very good defensive player at all. And then Amen Thompson, your defensive, all-defense candidate and probably your best member of the young core. You can't stay in front of Marcus Smart, who was washed 3 years ago.
25 points.
Yeah, Houston is a team that has started tanking in 2021. They drafted in the top 4 times. Now, granted, some of that is good GMing. The Reed Shepherd pick that they had, that was the Brooklyn Nets pick. So, not hey, they've got a lot of good draft picks. They have a couple Suns picks, a couple Brooklyn Nets picks, a couple Mavs picks coming in the upcoming draft. So I guess that's what you hang your hat on. But I mean, you've been tanking since 2021, and you basically have nothing to show for it. You're not close to the Thunder. You're not close to the Spurs, who started tanking around the same time as you. The Mavs definitely have a franchise cornerstone, and you do not. What are you going to do? Trade for Giannis? And it's Kevin Durant and Giannis with a bunch of okay role players?
Old dudes. It would be like when they had Barkley, Karl Malone, and Hakeem back in the day.
And, I mean, Ime Udoka is the highest paid coach in the league, and his offense is just it's taking turns.
Brutal.
And the defense isn't good either.
Well, and J.J. Redick's coaching circles around him. Never
Correct.
good when you wake up and your team, Jack, your the head coach, Ime Udoka, trending is the top trending topic on the Twitter machine.
He's the highest paid coach in the league.
That's probably what it's saying. I haven't even read them yet. All right, for you Spurs fans who are concerned, Don Harris been covering the Spurs a long time down there in San Antonio. He tweeted this: for those about to jump off the ledge in each of the Spurs' 5 championship seasons, 99, 03, 05, 07, and 14, every time they lost either game 1 or game 2 of the first round of their series at home. I remember them. I was there for all of them, he said. So, again, it's 1-1, but keep your fingers crossed on Wemby. Let's hit some NFL draft music, Jack. I've got an update on the NFL draft, which is now 36 hours, 42 minutes from right now. And I told you last week, I pay attention to Peter Schrager's mock draft. He only does 2 of them. Peter Schrager with ESPN, formerly of the NFL Network. I appreciate the guy. I've met him a few times at the Combine. He's a grinder. And he's got really great ties in the league. And so he puts out one mock draft, he says, at 2 weeks ago, and then he gets a bunch of feedback from all his insiders that he has worked on. and then he puts out a final mock draft on this day before the draft, 36 hours out. And it's out this morning. And how about this, Jack? Breaking news. We need our breaking news sounder on top of our NFL sounder. He's got both Texas teams trading up, which I don't think is – I've predicted this for weeks now that the Texans very well could trade up because you're going to get outside the tackle and offensive line class real fast, and the Cowboys need to trade up to assure that they get one of the top, first-round graded defensive players on their board. Well, okay, so Peter Schrager with the breaking news. I'll get you to where the Cowboys, but they're not going up as high as 3 or 6 as we've seen reported, the Cleveland deal, according to Peter Schrager. But again, this is a prediction. We're in the conversation place, but we know Vegas is going Mendoza, quarterback at the top. But then he has David Bailey of Texas Tech going to the Jets, most ready to play pass rusher in the maybe not the ceiling of Arvell Reese, but the better ready to play right now for Aaron Glenn, who would like to try to keep his job if he could. So Texas Tech's David Bailey, number 2. Number 3, Peter Schrager says Arizona has fallen in love a little bit with Jeremiah Love, and they're taking him. Put Jeremiah Love next to Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, but that kind of feels like a cart before the horse situation. They got a lot of other needs there,
yeah.
But I think they're looking at it like Jeremiah Love, Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride. We will get a quarterback, and now we've got a core, so we'll see. That's what he says. Tennessee, Sonny Styles, Ohio State. I would agree with that. Hard for me to believe that Robert Saleh, who was in San Francisco with a guy named Fred Warner, is going to pass on a guy who a lot of people think looks like Fred Warner and might be a little more, like even more athletic. And in Robert Saleh's defense, you have to have a captain and a quarterback, and that could be Sonny Styles, the elite freak linebacker out of Ohio State. New York Giants. According to Peter Schrager's prediction, Arvell Reese with Ohio State, that'd be a great pick for the Giants. But do the Giants need another edge rusher? That's where I would question Peter. Arvell Reese, he's going to be a stand-up linebacker. They have Peter Burns or Brian Burns there. Peter Burns. They have Brian Burns there. Last year they took Abdul Carter out of Penn State. They've got Kayvon Thibodeau. That would tell me if they do that, they're trading one of those other pass rushers on draft night to somebody to acquire another pick so they can take another player. But if they pass on Caleb Downs there, I would be shocked. But that's my opinion. But Cleveland Browns, they say take the top tackle on their mind, offensive tackle Spencer Fano from Utah. Washington then takes Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State. New Orleans takes Caleb Downs, breaking the heart of the Cowboys, Ohio State safety. And then here's his projected trade. The Cowboys give up picks 12 and 20 to go up to number 9, Jack Farrell, to take, and in return they get pick 9 and 29. So they stay in the first round with their second pick, but they get up 3 spots, and they take Mansour Delane, the top corner on the board out of LSU. As bad as that secondary was, but they do retain, and this would make some sense too, because the Chiefs got that 29th pick from the Rams for Trent McDuffie. They would then escalate. They'd go back to 12, but they'd also get the Cowboys 20. They'd give the Rams 29, according to Peter Schrager. That's not a crazy trade, and it does hit the value chart. So Cowboys, Mansour Delane. He also, later in the draft, Jack, has the Houston Texans trading up from their spot at 28 with the Carolina Panthers at 19. And they give up picks 28 and 69. Because remember, Houston has 59 and 69.
That's right.
So they give one of those top 70 picks, 69, to go up 11 spots, or as it were, 10 spots, to take Blake Miller, offensive tackle, Clemson. Because they would like to be in that Clemson, in that offensive tackle class, whether it's Caden Proctor, Blake Miller, or one of maybe even the Utah guy. That would not surprise me because much like the Cowboys, if you wait till 12, they're probably gone. If you're waiting on a tackle at 28, they're going to be gone. There's too many teams, they're going to take those guys. They're too valuable, hard to find. If Houston wants one, they probably got to go up, and they don't have to give up too much. They give up their 28, which they're getting 19, and they give up one of their top 70 picks, but they still have one at 59. And remember, they still have 38. Houston still has 38, so they can address needs there. I don't hate either of those, to be honest with you. He would have, by the way, Kansas City taking that 20th pick they got from the Cowboys to take Omar Cooper Jr., the Indiana wide receiver. So the Chiefs would get a wide receiver in Cooper, and then Reuben Bain, the pass rusher out of Miami. I would be a steal for me for the Chiefs. And I know people talk about Reuben Bain and short arms. You know who had short arms? You know who had the same length arms, who's in the Hall of Fame that plays pass rush? Jared Allen. Remember him? The Cowboy, Vikings? Same length arms. There's guys that have succeeded with shorter. You know who else was tagged with short arms? Gosh, who was the Baltimore Raven? Terrell Suggs. Terrell Suggs was pretty good.
Yeah, he was.
Reuben Bain's a bully. Reuben Bain is a bulldog. I like that guy, but some should say the Cowboys should just take him, wait at 12 if he's there. But Peter Schrager, that's where he's predicting right now. Reuben Bain, Miami, to the Chiefs with the pick they acquired from the Cowboys. Cowboys take the cornerback Mansour Delane. Texans take tackle at 19 with a trade. Chiefs then take Blake Miller. Now, you're asking, what about the pick 29 for the Cowboys? Malachi Lawrence, edge, UCF. Malachi Lawrence has got elite skills. He's just a freaky looking dude. That's a nice pick at the back end. So you get an edge and a corner with your first two picks, and you really only give up 12 and 20, but you still have 2 first-round picks. And you go up 3, and then, as we said, trade up, trade back. The talk has been they could do that with the Browns to trade up to 6 and trade back to 39. In this case, you trade up to 9 and only trade back to 29. Fan, okay? You mean you're going corner, which you got to do. Mm-hmm. They got no corner. Trayvon Diggs is gone.
Yeah, I like being able to stay in the first round.
Yeah, and Malachi Lawrence is a guy a lot of people like out of Central Florida. He's one of those long arms. He's a projection type of guy, but he is getting first round graded by most, or not first round graded, but first round mocked by most people. So we'll see. That's interesting to me that Schrager, with all his inside info and sources and whatnot, would have both Texas teams going up. But certainly the Houston thing, neither surprises me. We've said this on our draft analysis for weeks now. I think both teams, if they're going to play their board and they're both wanting to get tackle and defense, if you're Dallas, you probably got to go up at some point into the top 9 picks to get one of those guys that you have a first round grade on. And if you're Houston, you want to be a part of the top tier tackle market. You can, because for Houston, there's still a lot of the kid from Penn State is the best interior offensive lineman, but I think there's a lot of depth into picks, 59 and 106 where they draft, that they can still get an interior. Jake Slaughter out of Florida is a type of guy that they like a lot. Florida Gators center, who's all SEC. That guy's going to be available later in the second and third round. Go up and get your tackle. That could come in and play right tackle for you. And remember, if Houston could do that to get a tackle to play opposite Ariante Urstery, who they took last year, you then probably would put Wyatt Teller and Braden Smith at the guard positions, and you'd still be looking for a center in this draft.
I think so.
But Jake Andrews could be your center, which wasn't bad last year. He's not elite, but he's a solid player. But they would still be looking. There's a kid, Connor Liu from Auburn, that Houston could be looking at that 59th pick, where Houston, I would guess this, if you're Houston and you do that, and you go up and take tackle at 19, you're probably going defensive tackle at 38. You're probably coming back at 659 with somebody on the interior offensive line. And then, depending on what that is, you go interior offensive line again. And because you gave up the 69th pick, they wouldn't pick again until 106. Cowboys would still have picks. They'd have their 92nd pick as well, in addition to the 2 guys they got in this idea. So there's Peter Schrager. There's NBA. Spurs fans, how worried are you? Rockets, Jack is saying organizational malfeasance. Fire everybody down there in Houston. I like it.